Hello and welcome to your favorite cloud learning channel, CloudExpert Solutions. And welcome back to AWS Certified Solution Architect Associate Certification Bootcamp. In this module, we are covering a crucial service for hybrid cloud environment, AWS DataSync. When you need to move large amount of data online between your on-premises system and the AWS cloud, DataSync is the tool for you. It automates and accelerates the process, making migration simpler and faster. For your certification exam, understanding when to use DataSync versus the Snow family or other services is key. Let's get started. Let's review the roadmap for today's session. We will start by defining the specific problems DataSync solves in the context of online data migration. We will then look at the architecture, focusing on the agent deployment. Then we will cover the DataSync key features. After that, we will examine practical use cases. Followed by, we will explore DataSync task modes and wrap up with summary points and then 2 exam-style questions to test your knowledge. This module will give you everything you need to know about DataSync for your AWS certification. On behalf of the CloudExpert Solutions team, I would like to thank you for joining us and exploring this bootcamp. The main problem AWS DataSync solves is making online data transfer faster, easier, and more reliable. Transferring terabytes or petabytes of data manually over the internet or over a direct connect using tools like Resync is a painful process. It often requires manual error handling. If a connection drops and you have to manually verify data integrity. However, DataSync manages all the complexity for you. It uses a proprietary optimized protocol to accelerate transfers up to 10 times faster than standard methods and handles integrity checks and scheduling for you. It also simplifies setting up network connection, encryption, and parallelizations of process. In short, AWS DataSync takes away the pain out of a large-scale network-based data migration. Now let's review the DataSync architecture and the overview. AWS DataSync is a managed data transfer service. The architecture of DataSync is very straightforward. You deploy a software agent on premises as a virtual machine for VMware or Hyper-V, or even you can use a physical hardware appliances deployed in your data center, and you can use any one of these to deploy your DataSync agent. AWS DataSync requires TCP/IP network connectivity over the internet or any existing private network link. AWS DataSync does not typically require AWS Direct Connect or a site-to-site VPN to work with on-premises environment. However, it's recommended for better performance, security, and predictability. DataSync is designed to optimize data transfer over general network connections. The agent connects to your existing local storage systems using standard protocols like NFS or SMB. It talks to the AWS Cloud Control Plane to manage transfer tasks. DataSync optimizes the data transfer by automatically parallelizing operations using a proprietary protocol. It can push the data efficiently into AWS storage services like Amazon S3, Amazon EFS, or various FSx file systems. I have also listed the source as well. We spoke in the point number 4 of this slide, and you should remember the DataSync sources and the destination. DataSync guarantees data integrity through end-to-end verifications and checksum, and you can also filter out which files to transfer, which is great for moving only production data and leaving behind any test files. Scheduling is another one key feature of DataSync, and it will allow you to automate recurring data movement such as nightly backups or any replication task. Now let's review the DataSync use cases and common scenarios where DataSync can make data transfer easier and more efficient. The most common use case is moving data from on-premises systems to AWS Cloud. To use DataSync for transferring data from on-premise data centers to AWS Cloud, you need to deploy a DataSync agent as a virtual machine in your local data center, which then connects to your existing storage in AWS Cloud. You can migrate live dataset, that is moving active data or data from NAS servers or file shares to Amazon S3, Amazon EFS or FSx when building a cloud-based application or a data lake. You can also use for recurring replication or synchronization. That means scheduling periodic tasks to keep a secondary copy of your on-premise data into the AWS Cloud. You can use either a nightly backup or staging data for your analysis purpose. You can also use for off-site disaster recovery. That means you can automate the transfer of critical data to AWS for your disaster recovery purpose, and you can ensure a recent copy is always available in the cloud. You can also quickly move locally generated data, that means sensor data, log file, into Amazon S3, where it can be processed by another AWS analytics service like Amazon Redshift or Amazon Athena. AWS DataSync also works in the reverse direction. That is, you can use DataSync to bring data from AWS Cloud to your on-premises data center. You can restore data from S3, EFS or FSx back to your on-premises during any recovery points or during disaster recovery. Or if you have a hybrid setup, you can make the processed data which was processed in AWS available to local applications or your on-premises users. And finally, DataSync can transfer data between your AWS services. For example, you can replicate critical data to a different AWS region to ensure business continuity in case of an outage in the primary region. You can also replicate data between file systems in different AWS accounts, or you can periodically transfer data from one storage service to another for analysis or processing. For example, you can send files from Amazon S3 to Amazon EFS for use by applications running on Amazon ECS or with AWS Fargate. Now let's review the DataSync source and the destination services, and I want you to identify the correct source and the destination during the certification, because AWS loves to trick and confuse you with different available options. For on-premises storage transfer, you can use either Network File System or NFS or SMB, or even Hadoop Distributed File Systems or HDFS, or any other object storage. Moving to AWS services, DataSync works with Amazon S3, Amazon EFS, Amazon FSx for Windows File Server, Amazon FSx for Lastar, Amazon FSx for OpenZFS, Amazon FSx for NetApp ONTAP. Here are the other cloud storage services, that means storage services from other hyperscaler, and you don't have to remember this entire list, but just glance through once in case you encounter any of these storage services during your certification. However, the left hand side is very important and you should memorize this for your certification. Now here are some exam tips. For the certification exam, please remember you can use AWS DataSync to directly copy data to Amazon S3 Glacier or Glacier Deep Archive, and DataSync allows you to transfer data from your on-premise storage directly to this cost-effective long-term storage solution. And you don't need to first transfer data to a different S3 storage tier like S3 Standard. This is a very common question during AWS certification, so you should remember this. The other point is you can't use AWS DataSync to replicate a DynamoDB table directly. Now during the certification, if the scenario has an internet connectivity or a direct connect or a VPN connection, or it is talking about online data transfer, then DataSync is the answer. However, if the scenario involves an offline environment, that means there is no internet connectivity or a remote location, or moving petabytes of data that would take weeks to transfer, then you should use Snow family. DataSync is not optimal for those use cases. Now let's review the task modes available in AWS DataSync. There are two options to choose. Either you can use Enhanced mode or the Basic mode. Now let's start with the Enhanced mode first. With Enhanced mode, you can transfer virtually unlimited number of objects with higher performance. Enhanced mode optimizes the data transfer process by listing, preparing, transferring, and verifying your data in parallel. But Enhanced mode is currently available only for transfer between Amazon S3 locations, transfer between Azure Blob and Amazon S3 without an agent, and transfer between other cloud storage services and Amazon S3 without an agent. A very easy way to remember the Enhanced mode. If you want to use Enhanced mode, you need Amazon S3 at the destination end. Moving to the second mode, which is Basic. Under Basic mode, you can transfer files or objects between available AWS storage services and all other supported DataSync locations. Basic mode tasks are subject to quotas on the number of files, objects, and directories in a dataset. Here is the storage system, files, and object limits I have taken directly from the AWS documentation. As AWS frequently updates this quota, it's better to validate before selecting this option for any organizational use case. However, for the AWS certification, you don't have to remember this quota, the numbers. Just remember that Basic mode has an upper cap in terms of storage system, files, and object limits. Basic mode sequentially prepare, transfer, and verify data. That is why Basic mode is slower than the Enhanced mode for most of the workloads. Now let's review one exam style question. The question is saying a company needs to migrate 50 terabyte of data from their on-premises NFS server to Amazon S3. They have a 1 Gbps AWS Direct Connect connection. The migration needs to be automated, monitored, and completed as quickly as possible with data integrity validation. Which service should a solution architect recommend? Now, if you observe the key words here, we have 50 terabyte of data, direct connect, that means online transfer, automated, fast, and as early as possible with data integrity validations. You can pause the video here if you need a moment, but I believe you have already figured out the answer. The answer is C, AWS DataSync. Because Snowball Edge is for offline movement, Storage Gateway is for hybrid access, keeping the data synced. That is not for one-time migration, or it's not for migration accelerator. And manual rsync is slow and it requires custom scripting. That is why DataSync is the perfect fit for this online migration scenario. Here is another one sample question for you to try. Please pause the video here, read the question and identify critical phases hidden in this question. Then post your answer as a comment to this video. You can optionally add your supporting clarifications with the option. CloudExpert Solutions team will review your answer and will confirm your understanding, or we will add clarifications for you. CloudExpert Solutions team responds to any comment within 24 hours. We will look forward to your answer. That wraps up this module. If you found this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more AWS exam preparation courses and cloud certification bootcamps. Got questions or feedback? Drop them in the comment. We'd love to hear from you. Thanks for learning with us at CloudExpert Solutions. You are now one step closer to crushing your exam. See you in the next module.